Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, everyone.
It's great to be back online on a new platform, the start of a new year. So my co-host for this evening is the one and only Ashlea Simon.
I actually brushed my hair for this. It's been a long time since I've been on camera.
Well, we're very grateful for that, Ashlea. We're very, very grateful.
Well, with lockdown, I think everyone's had a bad hair day or two.
So this is our first stream, so bear with us. We're using completely new systems. We're on D Live now, which is a great little system. It gives everyone a notification that we're live, so everyone can come on and they know that when we're live. And it gives you also literally a full-time TV channel. So this is obviously a pre-planned, pre-advertised live show tonight. But in the future, Ashlea will be hosting her own shows with special guests. So will Tim Burton. So will a lot of people, and we hope to keep online, streaming online for as much as possible. The things we're going to be discussing this evening is obviously the situation at the moment, censorship, the US elections, the Capitol siege. What the hell is happening? There's so many interesting things happening. Yeah. I'm losing track, but I will explain my theory, which I hold to, why this is probably one of the best things to ever happen to the patriotic, nationalist, Christian movement across the world. It's one of the best things that could have happened, and I'll explain my rather bizarre and strange theory very shortly. So the numbers are increasing. The numbers are going up and up and up. It's good to see everyone. I'm going to bring in our guests now. We've got Dan Morgan and Stanley Robinson from Voice of Wales. And we're very happy to have these guys. Increasing, the numbers are going up and up and up. It's good to see everyone. I'm going to bring in our guests now. We've got Dan Morgan and Stanley Robinson from Voice of Wales. Something's gone wrong with the audio. Have these guys. Going up and up and up. Dan and Dan, welcome. Bringing our guests now.
Evening.
There we go. Oh, Paul's gone.
I think that's cured it. It's very strange.
I'll have to hold my hands up. That was actually me. I was on D Live on another.
Right. We have the same problem every single live we do. Yeah. We call it a sound check.
Yeah. Happy New Year, by the way.
Yeah, Happy New Year to you both.
Yeah, Happy New Year.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, this is going to be a huge year for nationalist movements in Britain. Sorry if you can hear that. It's pouring of rain here in Manchester. But we're all on lockdown. What else can we do but go live and talk about politics? There's not much else we can do. So I'd like to say a big welcome to Dan and Stan from Voice of Wales. I recently met up with these guys. I told them that I was going down to Penally training camp, the army camp down in Pembrokeshire, where I've got a lot of family history down there in Pembrokeshire. It's an area that is very close to my heart. And I was very, very glad when I went down there and met with Dan and Stan and the whole Voice of Wales team. You saw the photos, you see the videos. And I think they do a brilliant job down there in Wales. They have a harder time, believe it or not, in South Wales than we do here in England. The radical left, for the like the Antifa and the Reds and so on, are very, very strong and militant and vicious down there in South Wales. And I know these guys have been targeted. And
I can confirm that after doing a Brexit rally there 2 years ago. So I can confirm that.
Yeah,
they get it worse
very abused in South Wales. So
we've actually been given the New Year's honours list with the Morning Star, and we were on the front of it.
Yeah.
So that's how how bad these people are. The point is that they want to stifle free speech and free expression and free thought. They have one opinion, and if you diversify from that opinion, then you are ousted or you're ostracised. Mm-hmm. And we have contacts within Labour's council. We have contacts within Labour's den at the Senedd, and we have contacts from Yes Cymru.
Yeah.
We've got people that give us information because they trust our journalism.
But we had, perfect example. I won't go into too much details. You understand why in a moment. But we had a lady come up to us and she said, we was basically interviewing one of the pub owners before Christmas, just before they got locked down. So a lady came up to us, can we have a word when you finished? Yeah, no problem. So we went over and first thing she said is, I have to hold my hands up. I'm a Yes Cymru supporter. And she pulled up the Yes Cymru, which is the Independent Wales movement, which is, as far left movement as you're going to get in Wales. But then she went on to tell us a story, without going into too much detail, but it involved, how can we put it without getting this video taken down straight away? A certain religion that doesn't respect a certain gender so well. So because she'd seen what we spoken about in the past, she that story, even though complete polar opposites in
she actually apologized, didn't she?
Yeah.
She actually apologized for being where she was, but the point was that she had, well, first of all, she had the balls to come up to us, but also she knew that we would respect whatever she said, and that's something that the left do not do.
Well, they turned on her. They turned on her. She's in regular touch, contact with myself now. She she likes to keep in touch. And she's lost a lot of her own friends on the left because she spoke to us, and that's people who she actually believes with politically and agrees with politically. Yeah. So it's unreal, isn't it? It's really, really crazy.
And the challenge, to come back to your question, Paul, the challenge is now of the right that, and we saw a little bit of it with Brexit, where organisations that thought that the other organisation was too sniffy to talk to, or they had too many, they had too many people, so we couldn't talk to them. And for 6 or 8 weeks, the Democrat and Veterans Party, which I was a member of, I was put into the Brexit Party and helped them, and we got other people in from other organisations. I don't know about England, but presumably you did as well, where you helped out because the greater cause was to get out of the European Union and the evils that has. And so that's my message today really, that sometimes you have to just put your own toys away and don't spit your dummy out and have a common cause. And I think what you're intimating with the United States elections and the global chicanery that's going on with Snapchat, Twitter, Facebook, Google, Amazon, Parler, Apple. Have I left any out? There's a load more out. But the point is that they're censoring everybody from the right.
Well, it's like you said, Stan, and I didn't want to nick your line, but I'm very tempted to. We are at war with the left. The left are at war with us, and we are at war with the left. And the first thing you do in war is try to cut communications on the other side of the trench, the other side of no man's land. If you can if you can cut the communications on the other side of no man's land, your job's a lot easier. Yeah. And this is what we're seeing. Look, it doesn't. We all know liberalism and socialism. When you sit down and have a debate, their ideology, their policies don't stand up to scrutiny, which is why they always say we won't share a platform with Paul Golding or Tommy Robinson or anyone really. I mean, I remember watching a little clip of Kate Hopkins at a university, and these are supposed to be the universities are supposed to be the centres of learning. Yeah. And they always have been in British culture, in British history. And everyone just got up and walked out. All these snotty, stupid little students, they don't seem to understand what they're doing. What happened to the Enlightenment? What happened to the great age of learning?
The problem is emotion comes in the way before logic with younger people, and we're seeing that in universities all over the country. Whereas I remember when I was doing pro-Brexit demos, there was this young lad from university, and he was doing journalism at university. He spoke to stand up to racism that was opposing us, and then he came and spoke to us. It turns out this young lad was a Brexiteer. which for university students, was very rare at the time, especially in journalism. And he had no problem with the left. He would have discourse with them. He'd speak to them. He would write articles for them. And then he received the most venomous hatred for having a conversation with me, for simply hearing my side of the story and why I wanted Brexit and what I thought of stand up to racism opposing us that day. And since that happened that day, I've kept in contact with this young journalist. And it's amazing to see how strong he is considering what he faced in university. And he's now left and he's writing independently, but he does struggle to get work, because he's willing to give a platform to both sides. He's willing to hear all sides of the argument. And I know not long after I met him, he started writing some articles about Tommy Robinson. Do you know the milkshake incident when all of that was going on? He started to write some articles about that, saying all violence is wrong. It doesn't matter who does it, violence is wrong. And he came under immense scrutiny for that. And it's quite funny, because if he was a journalist in America now on mainstream media, he'd be sacked immediately, because he is consistent in what he thinks crime is. And I watched an interesting video the other day on Twitter, and it said, it was this gentleman, and he was saying how he believes the writers at Capitol Hill should have been arrested, because whether you agree with what they did or not, they stormed a Capitol building, they broke windows. It's still criminal damage, whether we agree with it or not. And he said, just like I think BLM activists should be arrested. But what we're seeing now is posters all over DC with these patriots' faces saying, FBI wanted, call this number, and the most venomous hatred. People are saying Ashlea Babbitt deserved to die for storming the Capitol. Yet these people are willing to ignore the rampant violence for the past year by Black Lives Matter. They didn't just smash windows or storm a building, because they did storm many government buildings, police precincts all over the country, but they lynched white people. White people walking along streets on their own got lynched. White people were killed for being white. Where was the condemnation then? There was absolutely nothing, because it was violence they agreed with. And that's okay. If I don't like the person, violence is acceptable. If I like the person, it's not. That is the problem.
That's the irony, because, of course, that veteran that you mentioned would have laid down her life
for those people
in defense of freedom. And instead, they're now using her, well, in a despicable way. But you're quite right. Zuckerberg has part of his defense for censoring President Trump, and he's still president of the United States. Part of his defense was that he might have he might do rioting, but in fact he supports Assad, Putin, and the Ayatollah. Paul, what do you think about that? The dual standards in this.
Well, look at the media and the Democrats and the deep state's reaction to just one incident at the Capitol building in Washington. Just one incident, and look at the ferocious, overwhelming response by the entire American establishment to that one incident.
Do you believe in the timelines, Paul? Where
we'll come to that in a minute. I've got But if you look at their reaction to what happened at the Capitol building, and then compare that to an entire summer of similar violent, riotous incidents all over the United States. I mean, BLM and Antifa between them nearly burnt every city in America to the ground. That was encouraged, facilitated, and they bent over backwards to make excuses. They engaged in deception, like calling them peaceful protests. But like I say, we are at war. The other side is simply fighting their corner. They know they're hypocrites. They know they're lying. They know they're using deception. They know that they know exactly what they're doing. But you've got to remember, they lost in 2016, and now they are not. They're absolutely intent on never losing again. They're going to stack the cards against the Republicans, Conservatives, Trump, all of them. Now I've seen some news stories that I haven't put up online yet. Disturbing one today. Apparently, all the Wall Street banks are all closing ranks now against Republicans and against Trump supporters. So the left are not going to stop until all of us, all the way from Donald Trump all the way down to Voice of Wales, we're just wiped out and we're silent. And we're either in prison or we just got no voice.
Yeah.
And
he put it to me a little while ago, and I thought it was the best tweet. I would say definitely the best tweet he's ever put out, and it was, "They're not coming for me; they're coming for you. I'm just in the way."
Yeah.
And that speaks volumes. He was someone with a massive platform who could stand up and fight for the people, and that's a big problem for them.
Yeah.
And they needed him gone. And they're doing a, they look like they're going for the impeachment as well now. And the problem with that is if they do go for impeachment again and it's granted, he can't stand again.
Yeah.
I believe this would be impeached.
Unfortunately, in my opinion, the Capitol Hill incident was completely orchestrated. I've seen several videos where the police are literally opening the gate and doing this, saying this way. And then, bear in mind, this is the most powerful government building in America. The police literally just walked away when people were walking in. They walked away. They had a right to shoot to kill. At any moment they could have done that before people entered the building, but they chose not to, because unfortunately I don't think patriots realize that they were just playing into the left hands there. This was completely orchestrated. This is what they needed to shut us all down. This is what they needed to ban a sitting president from social media. And this is why we do have to play a lot smarter with our dialogue, with our behavior, because we don't have the same rules that the left do. Like, just on here tonight, we've got a ban list for comments, certain ban words and stuff like this. And as much as we believe in free speech, we know the rules are different for us. We know we can't say anything we want. And what's happened in America has proved this. The patriots at Capitol Hill were lambs to the slaughter. They didn't realize at that time that everything they was doing was organized, not by them, but by the left, because they knew they needed that day of violence so they could paint the conservatives, the right thinkers, as the aggressors, because they've never been able to paint us in that way so far, because we're not the violent side. We're not the side that loots, burns, lynches. So that day kind of gave them exactly what they want. So I'm not surprised we're in the situation that we're in today, because we did play into their hands. And it is time that the right, the conservatives, do get smarter and use this opportunity that we have now to collectivize and move to the only social medias that are available to us. Go on, say, Britain First website or Tommy Robinson, sign up to the email lists so we have got a form of communication should all social medias go. We need to be able to keep some line of communication going. And hopefully this has woken up enough people to know we cannot rely on social medias, whether we think the free speech communities or not. We thought that of VK, and VK went and banned Tommy Robinson and Britain First. So email lists, sign up to emails as much as you can to keep in the know.
As much as I, the thing is, what we all need to realize now is that the days of a social network, downloading the app and setting up an account on it, they're over. We've seen that with Parler. Parler was taken completely by surprise. I've said to you, Ashley, why weren't they more prepared for this? So I've spoken to the CEO of Gab. They've been dealing with this for years and years. They're not allowed to have an app in Google Play. They're not allowed to have an app in the Apple App Store. They're just not allowed. And we have to start reorientating. We have to start thinking differently now, because the era of having an app where you go on your social media, that's over. Okay, it's going to get worse and worse. That's over. Okay, and I truly believe, although it seems okay at the moment, I truly believe that the next app to be booted from both app stores will be Telegram.
Yeah.
Because I've seen everyone, Trump, Donald Trump Jr., Sidney Powell, I've seen all of them, Candace Owens, all of them going over to Telegram. Just give it a bit of time. Telegram will be booted off the app stores as well. Now, Gab has been basically they foresaw all of this years ago, and they've prepared their own what they call server farm. You know, you can imagine what it's like. It's just like a big warehouse full of hard drives, basically. So they've got their own capacity, and all you have to do is open up Safari or Chrome on your phone, open it up, click on a bookmark for Gab, boom, and you can use it just like an app, and no one can censor you. No one can do a thing about that. And that's the way everything's going, because the app stores are going to just be closed off progressively. They won't, but they've censored Donald Trump, but they won't censor the entire American right wing and British and all that. They won't do it at the same time.
No.
What they'll do is they'll do it progressively, bit by bit by bit. There's been several today. I mean, Ron Paul's been kicked out of Facebook. They're just doing it bit by bit by bit. You know, it's death by 1,000 cuts.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing.
Do you think that COVID is playing a part?
Well, they're using it, and I'd say they're definitely using COVID as a
shield.
I
think that's a separate issue, because what I think they're doing with COVID now, my entire family, my brothers, my mother, my father, my sisters, loads of people in my family have caught COVID, and I've seen they've rang me on the phone, and they said it made them quite ill. So it does exist. It doesn't exist and all that. But what I think on top of that, what I think the government is doing and the establishment is doing, they think long term. They're not, you know, the establishment is just one beast. It's like a multi-headed dragon. So they're thinking long term, and they're thinking this is a brilliant opportunity to get people used to being forced indoors, being having restrictions, having lockdowns, all this kind of stuff. This is a brilliant opportunity to get people used to martial law. I think it comes back to what they're doing in America. If you're fighting in a war against an enemy and you see an opportunity, you see a gap in their line, you will take advantage of that. In war, everything is opportunistic, you know, in real time, and this is what's happening. The British government and the governments across Europe. Look, there's two things I would say in response to those who say we need lockdowns. One is Sweden, and one is China. Why hasn't China got any lockdowns, and Sweden's managed to pull through this without lockdowns?
So you know, it looked like the place to be on New Year's Eve, didn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. The Democrats and the fake news media and big tech in America, they're being opportunistic as well. They saw what happened at that Capitol building, and they thought, right, this is our opportunity. That just like you would never have had a summer full of riots and protests and so on, unless that one little incident with George Floyd happened. They saw that and they thought, boom, this is an opportunity, and we're going to take full advantage of it. When the Capitol siege happened, that was an opportunity. They're going to take full advantage of it, and they're just running rampage.
So whilst they've taken our eyes off whilst we've got our gaze on the Capitol building, what about the fraud of the election? Where's that gone?
The what? Sorry,
the
fraud in the election. Where has that gone?
There is still one case to be heard.
Multiple cases,
fraud, and it seems to have just disappeared. We don't know what's going on. But I do remember one representative that was apparently going to challenge the election that day, and then she said later on, after the Capitol storming, that no, due to what I've seen here, now I am not going to challenge this. But what happened at the Capitol has nothing to do with election fraud. How people behave does not, reflect on election fraud. If you live in a fair and democratic society, election fraud shouldn't happen. And some people may not just agree that there was election fraud, and that's fine. We're allowed to disagree. But if there wasn't any, why aren't you willing to hear the evidence that the people that believe it to have happened have? Why aren't you willing to hear the evidence? And this is why people are so outraged because we had it with Brexit, not at this scale, but because they did believe these votes happened, but we was being ignored. And look, we've eventually got Brexit, whereas in America, it's a different playing field because every state has different laws. Their legal system is just... It's
all over the place, isn't it?
It's all over the place. I don't have a clue what's going on half the time.
Well, there was a story today, wasn't there, that several people put up, that the Supreme Court has stated publicly, unanimously, that all of the outstanding cases in the system about election fraud, they're not going to deal with them quickly. They're not going to deal with them before inauguration.
Yeah.
They're just everyone in America, in the establishment, in the judiciary, in the deep state, in every branch of government, they're either intimidated or they're on the side of what's going on.
Yeah.
And I do think they stole the election, and now they're shutting down all opposition. You know what? The Democrats love to talk about coups, don't they? The Capitol coup, the Trump's coup. I'll tell you what the real coup is: the stolen election, and then the shutting down of all opposition. Effective opposition. That's the real coup. And the Democrats and the deep state and the establishment, the fake news media, social medias, big tech, they're all to blame. They're all in on it. It's a coup.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. You just look at the way they dealt with both of them. You know, you had the Black Lives Matter riots, and instantly they looked at the symptom and why are they rioting? This time, they don't even want to know about the symptom. They don't even know the cause of what's driven these people to go at this building and go through the windows. They don't care about that this time, but last time they wanted to get to the bottom of it. Now those, let's just say, for example, the Russia collusion, the people who were accusing Donald Trump of that, they got their closure. It wasn't the closure they wanted, and it did come 4 years later or 3.5 years later, but they got the closure. These voters aren't going to get any closure, because anything that comes out is going to be after the wrong has already been done. Yeah, they've said that after the investigation, if they find out it was complete electoral fraud, Donald Trump won by a landslide, and just say, for example, 100% of America voted for him, it turns out, they say we're still not going to overturn it, but going forward, we'll change it. And it's just lip service as usual.
Yeah, it is. Ashley touched on something, because I've just lost it now. Yeah, don't worry about it. It'll come back in a minute.
It happens to the best of us.
Right, as well, to do with Black Lives Matter and the Capitol storming. What we saw with George Floyd was horrible. It was awful. Police brutality, I disagree with. Whether he had fentanyl in his system or not, the way the police behaved was wrong. Putting your knee on someone's neck for 8 minutes is wrong. And in this country, we know all about police brutality. So whether he was a criminal, whether he was a drug addict or not, police brutality cannot be allowed to happen. And I think most people are in agreement with that. And most people are in agreement with Black lives do matter. Of course they do. All lives matter. But we saw something completely different there. We had to believe in Black Lives Matter as a political institution. We had to worship George Floyd as this martyr, for the black cause. Whereas Ashlea Babbitt, who was a Navy veteran, so 4 tours of duty for her country, fought and lived and died for freedom and democracy. She's been painted in the media as this criminal. She had a conviction for this, she had a conviction for that, she had a conviction. I didn't hear the media screaming about George Floyd, putting a gun to a pregnant woman's belly. Because, and I agree that when someone's killed in that way, that's not really necessary to talk about, because that's not the issue at hand, which it should be the same case with Ashlea Babbitt. Her criminal record has nothing to do with that officer shooting her when she was unarmed. She was halfway through a door. She wasn't a physical threat. So, but we see, if you are Black Lives Matter, if you're a black man, or if you're a white woman, you get completely different press coverage, because race does matter. Race pandering happens. And the ordinary people like me, say my mum, my sister, we never really looked at race as an issue until a few years ago. We never really noticed it. Like, my godchildren are half Nigerian. It was never much of an issue. We didn't notice. Whereas now we see race everywhere. We're very aware of race.
The funny thing is, Ashley, that Dan said something a couple of days ago about the fact that Floyd had a funeral of a king.
Yeah.
Now, that's not going to happen to this Navy veteran.
No, of course not. And it will probably be attacked by Antifa because that's how sick they are. They've been protesting in San Diego today and yesterday, holding signs saying she deserved it. I'm sorry, but whether, say, an Antifa member, if they were shot dead protesting, my thought would not be they deserve it. Because at the end of the day, whether I disagree with them or not, they've got a right to protest and they've got a right to be heard. Do you know, that's because I believe in freedom of speech. But politics isn't as we thought it was. Politics isn't as it used to be. Now it's dirty, it's evil, and it's corrupt. And this is why the right needs to get smarter right now. We need to behave differently. We need to think ahead. This election fraud isn't going to be overturned. It's the end of it. President Donald Trump is not the president anymore. It's done. We've got to accept that this ugly fact, and we've got to think, how are we going to change it moving forward? How are we going to prevent America, the situation in America, happening here? Because luckily we're about 5 years behind. You know, we're not at that level of corruption yet, but we will be if we don't act. And this is what
I would say Wales is straight away, as soon as they, well, Sadiq Khan did the same, as soon as they
seem to have froze there.
Oh, are we right?
Oh, they've got them back. You froze for a moment there.
Oh, sorry about that. What was I saying? Where was it going?
Yeah,
so he came out and said about obviously we need to do mail-in votes. Wales, they push in for the mail-in votes. You know, we're having laws passed, like 16-year-olds can vote in Wales. Foreign nationals and prisoners can vote in Wales. Smacking ban, all these sorts of things have gone in. Nobody has voted on these, but the government just goes, yeah, we think that's the right thing to do, and they'll do it. So we are almost there.
And today they've pushed back the by-elections till May. And it sounds as though they're going to push back the elections for
the Senate elections
for the Senate elections and for the Police and Crime Commissioners elections till October. Which and if you think about it, what they're saying is that in May, June, July, August, you've got less coronavirus, so they're going to push it back to October,
start of the flu season,
which is the start of the flu season. And are they then going to say, oh, well, we can't now because we've got a second wave?
Or are they going to do it mail-in?
Or are they
going to do postal votes?
Well, whatever. But the point is that democracy here is sidelined for the moment.
Which we've got a legal right to vote. So surely what they're doing there is legal because we've got a right to vote on who represents us. That's, because we're in democratic countries. And if they only do it by mail-in votes, then we know that's for corruption. But like last year, May's elections here were cancelled. But then for a year, people have been representing us that we didn't elect to represent us for this year. And sometimes I do wonder if coronavirus, as much as I believe it exists and I feel for the victims, is coronavirus being used for election purposes?
1,000,000%. I'd say without a shadow of a doubt. I know the coronavirus, it's real. It affects people, differently.
It's marvelous though because it's got rid of flu. I mean, it's just wiped flu out completely.
Yeah, but I think there's a lot of people who's not as at risk. I'm classed as high risk with COVID because of my asthma and stuff like that. But because I'm younger, it's not such an issue.
It should be personal responsibility.
Pre-existing conditions, absolutely. But telling me, oh no, it's too dangerous for you to go out and vote. It's a clear. They're using it as a disguise to just do what they want. They, like you said, they've seen an opportunity and they're taking it. The death toll.
Might tell us we can't vote though. To tell us we're not allowed to vote, that just proves we do not live in a democracy anymore. It's taken away.
South Wales is much, much worse than the rest of the United Kingdom.
It sounds it.
It is. There's no opposition to Labour, and South Wales is one of those areas that it voted Leave, and I think there's a huge patriotic groundswell in South Wales, and if only someone like Britain First would step into the fray and fill that vacuum there. And the good news is that by the end of February, it's looking like we will be in court with the Electoral Commission. Finally, thank you to everyone who chipped in to help us force that through. Finally happening. So hopefully.
So this is for you to register as a political party.
Yes.
Yes, because they keep blocking us. They're just it don't matter. It doesn't matter what we could take we could make our constitution and our financial scheme and all our financial system. We could do a carbon copy from the Labour Party. They would still say no. Like it's nothing to do with our application or our systems or anything like that. It's pure political malice.
Yeah,
and they've rejected 8 separate applications over 3 years, all on the most flimsy of excuses. I mean, sometimes they've referenced third-party comments that have been left on our website, and we're saying you could have put them there. It's just comments are open forum. You can't hold YouTube responsible for every single comment on every single video in the whole world.
Exactly, yeah.
And you know what, Paul? That's what the left do to us, isn't it? That's exactly what the left do to us. So you know,
fake accounts jump on, put loads of racist remarks in the comments, then they have loads of other people jump on them remarks, report it, and get the page shut down.
Yeah.
Let's come back to what's happening in America and social media and the future. But I'll just quickly explain my theory, because I've been thinking about this a lot. And obviously it's a very, very horrible pill for patriots and nationalists to swallow, watching Donald Trump lose, watching the Democrats steal the election, watching Donald Trump being censored, you know, and watching everything that's been going on. It's very tough to take. But I always, because I'm a Christian and I have such faith in God, and I trust God for his plan. I think, what good could come out of this? And then the other day I had a little bit of a brainwave, and I thought, right, if Donald Trump was re-elected for a second term, then all he would really concern himself with is his second term, running the country, implementing his reforms, his policies, etc., etc. The fact that he has now been forced out due to fraud, due to censorship, due to bias, and so on, we all know the score. You know, the cards were stacked against him so badly. Now he is outside of the role of being president with its workload. He won't back off. He won't, you know, just say, all right, see you later, everyone. Goodbye. 75 million Americans. Good luck. He won't do that. He will keep his movement going. And now what we have, thanks to everything that's gone on, see, the left don't think like this. They just think, yes, we've defeated him. We've usurped him. We've booted him out. They don't think about what's actually going to happen here. In my opinion, the Trump family, billionaires, are going to use their extraordinary financial resources, their extraordinary public support across America, to literally build an alternative patriot cyberspace. In my opinion, Donald Trump is going to launch his own TV channel in America, his own TV network. He's going to launch, unless he's going to send millions of his followers, millions and millions, tens of millions of his followers to platforms like Parler and Gab, which is going to give them the resources and the following they need to become huge. I watched the other day, I watched that film, The Social Network, which is all about how Facebook was founded. And I remember seeing Facebook in a warehouse office, and they were celebrating having 1 million users. And I was thinking, well, Gab and Parler are soon going to have almost 100 million users on their platform. So Trump's going to set up his own TV channel. He is either going to set up his own social network, or he's going to buy out Parler or Gab or something like that, or he's just going to provide them with tens of millions of new users. That's going to enable them to professionalize and to, just become as effective in the social media world as Twitter and Facebook and so on. And I also think he may form his own political party, America First.
Well, I think he will. I think he will do that, and that will. I mean, there have been other parties other than the grand old Republican Party and the Democrats, but they've never got anywhere. But a strong third party would actually knock them for six.
Both
of
But
them.
this is the point, you know. This is the point I'm making. The Trump family, Trump himself wouldn't have done any of this. Any of the things I just talked about. He wouldn't have done any of those if he would have been re-elected. So now what we have is an embittered billionaire patriot leader with half of America behind him is going to create all of these new platforms, all of these new wonderful things for all of us.
Yeah.
And that wouldn't have happened if he would have been re-elected. So I sit there and think to myself, you know, what's God's plan here? What's God up to? And that is what I think is going to happen. In the long term, I think this is going to benefit all of us enormously. And that is my theory. And I think, you know, that's what's going to happen over the next 4 years, 5 years.
Dan's got an alternative, which is a terrible theory, but it's equally as valid, and it's about Kamala Harris.
This is one worrying thing. Say, for example, Biden gets ill. Within the first year, Harris would take over, and she would just serve the remaining 4 years. But if Biden sits in office for a year and then he gets ill, she will serve his remaining 3 years, and then she could be up for re-election to stand another 8 years as her own. That's if he has to go 1 year in office, though. So I'm concerned that that's their plan. And if they've got the election standing that,
I wouldn't call that a theory. I would say that you have a crystal ball.
Yeah.
That is 100% going to happen. Now, Kamala Harris is far too radical, far too uncharismatic to have been the front man. Yeah. So what they've done is Joe Biden is the moderate, you know, kind of. He's got this, like, you know, this kind of. You've got to put yourself in the shoes of the other side here. And Joe Biden, from their point of view, he's got this, like, you know, soft kind of granddad, you know, walk about him, and you know, he's a soft old dodder and all that.
Even though he's a creepy granddad that touched all those grandchildren.
Oh, look, he's a creepy paedophile. There's no doubt about it. But you know, and I don't care about getting sued because I've got no assets. So he's a creepy, corrupt old paedophile. Yeah. But at the end of the day, he'll be gone soon. He'll be gone within 6 months. And Kamala Harris is the Trojan horse. Mm-hmm. Joe Biden was the front man to get her through the door because she's far too radical and as she's come out of some crazy stuff in the past, which would have damaged their cause quite substantially. So Joe Biden, you're absolutely right, Dan. I don't think Joe Biden's going to last long. I think he'll probably, you know, he broke his ankle the other day and see him hopping around with an ankle support on. He'll fall down some stairs or he'll catch the common cold and retire.
And he's probably got dementia as well. This guy's got Alzheimer's. This guy,
he's showing signs, isn't he? He's definitely showing some signs.
Yeah, he's definitely got Alzheimer's. You know, I've known a lot of people with Alzheimer's, and he's got it. You know, 100%. How they allowed a man, you know, with Alzheimer's to stand up. I remember I was telling Paul, don't laugh at him sometimes, you know, don't laugh at his videos where he's coming out with nonsense. I said, you're laughing at someone with Alzheimer's here? Like, because as much as I disagree with his politics, I felt sorry for the creepy, like, old pedo a bit, you know, being hung up at the court with his Alzheimer's. Like, he probably didn't know what he was doing.
Yeah, I see.
Hillary Clinton fainting almost every day, and then they put Joe Biden up, who can't even string a sentence together. Yeah.
And then more votes than Obama.
I'm pretty sure that Joe Biden's a robot. So I was expecting him to fluff up every sentence in the presidential debates.
Yeah,
I know. He actually made it through them okay, and I was like, he's a robot.
Well, Trump tried to get him to do a drugs test after it as well, didn't he?
Yeah.
So what have you heard anything about some states thinking about secession from the United States because they believe that the
Texas, isn't it? I hear Texas.
Well, Texas is allowed to, isn't it? The Lone Star State. But
I don't think it'll happen for a while.
No, I don't think that.
It's very bad. It needs to get even worse than it is.
That would be terrible.
Yeah.
I think if Harris. Sorry, I think if Harris pardons the millions of illegals inside the United States, that would do it.
Yeah.
sorry, Ashley, there's never going to be another Republican Senate, House of Representatives, or president, because they're going to give amnesties to millions of illegal immigrants. They're going to open the borders for more immigrants to come in, and they've got their voter fraud methods, with the Dominion machines and all the suitcases full of ballots and all of this. I mean, it's so obvious, isn't it?
It's all there.
So bloody obvious. And plus you've got censorship, and plus you've got fake news bias. There's never going to be ever another Republican Senate, House, or president.
I think you're right.
Sorry, what was you going to say, Ashley?
Completely gone. What I do want to say before we end this tonight is about Gab, how slow it is at the minute. I can't upload social media to Gab. I mean, I can't upload videos to Gab or pictures or anything at the minute, but this is because they're overwhelmed. But they did put a post out saying they're getting so many new servers this week. So for the people that are getting frustrated, give it a week or two, and it'll be back to normal. But it's just very, very slow. Can you imagine the amount of new people just flocking over now? I think we've just got to leave it a week or two, and it'll be back in working order.
And I think that Parler was showing a lot of promise, and I think Parler, I found it quite difficult to use.
Yeah.
Parler. Yeah. It was quite difficult to use, but I think they would have ironed that out in good time. But Parler, unfortunately, it's off both app stores now. It's completely offline. See, Gab has been sensible. Gab has said, look, we need to build our own universe on the internet so no one can touch us. So what Gab has done, Gab has literally got a warehouse full of hard drives, which is what Amazon has got, Parler had their entire database on hard drives, servers with Amazon. And Amazon have said, boom, turn off the light for them. So they're knackered. I can't personally see Parler competing with Gab in the future. I personally think Gab is the future. They've got their own server farm. They're untouchable. They've also got things that Parler hasn't got. They've got their own web browser. They've got their own phone now. You can actually buy a Gab phone with an app on it. They've also launched Gab TV. Gab TV is like their alternative to YouTube. They're centuries ahead of everyone because they were crushed and censored much, much earlier than everyone else. Parler, I think, have shot themselves in the foot because they haven't made any preparations for this happening. I don't think they believed it would happen.
Well, that's called risk management, isn't it? If you buy one from one source and one supplier, then you risk everything if that's critical to your business. So whoever the critical risk manager was, sack them. They'll
all lose the jobs now anyway. If it goes down, that's the thing. If Parler does, by a miracle, come back and it does get its own servers and stuff like this, everyone does still need to support Parler though, because whether they prepared or not, they've still been a free speech site. They've still been, adamant that they will continue to be free speech. So if a miracle they come back, support them, flock to them and Gab. Having two options is better than having one always.
Well, the good old days, you had Facebook and you had Twitter. There's no reason why you can't have Gab and Parler.
Yeah, exactly.
So and the irony is that the person that invented the World Wide Web, Berners-Lee, is now so disgusted by what's happened now that he's going to do an alternative World Wide Web. And the irony is,
created the internet.
He gave it to the world for free.
It
should have come with some caveats, like these bastards shouldn't be allowed to
censor a president,
to dominate it. They need breaking up and breaking up and breaking up again.
They need regulating, don't they? Social media platforms absolutely need regulating, and it's what they've been fighting for quite a while now. But they need they need accountability, which is something they've never ever had.
Well, the accountability is that you can have 50 million on your platform, and then you can't have any more. That's your accountability, because then you make hundreds of sites or holders of the World Wide Web. But
The
hopefully,
problem we've got, though, is that the Democrats control the presidency, they control the House of Representatives, and they control the Senate now. It's not going to happen anytime soon. And the Democrats don't. Why would the Democrats want to change things? Why?
no.
Why would they want? Why don't they want free speech? Free speech hurts them. Free speech led to their defeat in 2016. They're the enemies of free speech. They don't want that. They want socialism. They want to control everything to ensure that they always win and they've always got power. It's nothing like that's going to happen anytime soon.
The irony is, Paul, that the black people that have been out of work for years and years and years under Democrats have now got jobs under Trump.
Exactly.
And Biden and Harris are going to now go back to getting rid of the carbon footprint and green energy, and get rid of all those steel and coal jobs that fracking oil that Donald Trump has actually provided for them. So they're cutting off the hand that fed them. Literally,
it's like America, I believe, is performing better under the coronavirus than it ever has done in the past, and that's under Donald Trump and what he set up and how it's led. It is like a race to the bottom with them, isn't it? They want complete race to the bottom, get it over and done with. And I don't think, someone said to me the other day, Trump may be gone, but Trumpism is just starting, pretty much. You've had all the people who follow Trump, but you got the followers of Trump. Trumpism, which is now the new thing, is the people who are standing up for all the beliefs that Trump fought for. So that could be a massive movement as well coming in the future. And again, points to the direction of a new party. Yeah.
And just going completely off topic, because I realise that we're coming up to the hour. Paul, you're in Manchester, and you've got two big teams there, City and United. Have you written to them yet to ask them to stop getting on their knees at the football? Because, of course, this is something that we're campaigning for in Wales, and we're getting people from Cardiff and Wrexham and Swansea and Newport, and they're asking us, they're asking Swansea fans how they did it.
Yeah.
So what are your plans?
I would have more success, I think, recruiting Diane Abbott and Jeremy Corbyn into Britain First. I'm not going to waste my time. I'm not even going to waste the calories it would take to write 2 letters.
Paul Godin would be the last person they would listen to. They'd probably do it more just in spite.
Yeah.
They get on both knees, would they?
Yeah.
But look, it's been absolutely brilliant having you on this evening. There's so much more. We didn't even get round to talking about the presence of BLM and Antifa at the Capitol siege. They were there, and they were the ones who were mostly misbehaving. We all know that. It's a fact. And it's like, do you know, in there was a false flag gas attack in Syria. You remember that? Where the actual jihadis gassed a village, and everyone blamed it on Assad. And it was nothing to do with Assad, but they used that as an excuse to bomb him and to bomb certain things. It's exactly what happened. It's quite scary, isn't it, that the establishment in America could actually do something so dastardly and get away with it and actually be successful doing it. It's quite scary, the world we're living in now.
Yeah.
It is. I mean, I think you've seen some of the videos that we've seen where and it's right. If you get a couple of people stand up, other people stand up because they've seen the motion.
Herd mentality,
and it's a herd mentality. And those when Donald Trump was saying peaceable, which is what MSN cut off, the timelines show that they weren't at the building when these other people in Trump hats went in.
Yeah.
They couldn't have walked that far that quickly. So there's a lot to talk about and a lot to investigate.
Well, it happened in Germany, didn't it? I can't remember. I'm trying to find the actual link. But they staged that attack, didn't they? Is it Reichstag or something like that? They staged an attack. They took over the radio. They won the presidency illegitimately. You've got 4 stages, and every single stage has been ticked. in this election.
Yeah.
False flag attacks.
False flag attacks.
You know, taking over the airwaves and social media.
Take
which
out the
is
communications.
yeah. It's
overall, guys,
repeats.
Overall, I think this is going to be very good for us long term, because all they've done now is cut loose a pissed off billionaire to provide platforms for us all. And we wouldn't have had that if Trump would have won. So now Trump's going to take his half of America and he's going to build platforms that we can take advantage of. And it's good to see Twitter's share price plummeting. It's good to see.
Yeah. I saw that today. Did you see how much it's dropped? Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
So I want to say, we've been going for an hour now. I want to say thank you.
Thank you
to everyone watching. It's been a great first broadcast. I'm looking forward to the next one. The next broadcast will be on Thursday, because we're trying to do as many of these as we can during lockdown. What else is there to do except, babble away about political issues? So on Thursday, your host, Ashlea, is going to be live with Luke Cage, and he's promised not to drink whiskey during this Thursday show. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think that's fake news, don't you, Ashlea?
Yeah, but I'm coming on without Paul because I've got a lot more to say and he doesn't give me words in edgewise. So.
Well, yeah, we're going to be holding... Tim Burton wants to bring on some guests and talk politics. So does Ashlea. But tonight we've decided to cram everyone in. There's been 4 of us. We've all tried to talk over each other. It's a bit of a nightmare. But make sure you put it in your diaries. On Thursday, Ashlea's going to be live with Luke Cage from the Reality Report at 8 p.m. sharp on Thursday. And once again, everyone, if you can, go onto YouTube and subscribe to the Voice of Wales. They do brilliant work reporting on all the different things that happen. And I just want to say, I almost forgot, a massive well done. And I thought this was very Britain First-esque, what you did. They went outside of Swansea Football Stadium while the players were taking a knee and they set off fireworks. I just want to say big round of applause, everyone. That was absolutely brilliant. And I can't believe I didn't think of that. You beat us to it. But,
it's funny because we had men on the ground that basically said as soon as because they stopped us getting to the stadium because this is the 3rd time, we were just going there to report on it. So we got told that we couldn't get to the stadium. So we followed the protesters, went up to a nearby park. And what we was told is as soon as the loud bangs went off, the police all scattered. You had half of them running to the vans, half of them running over there. And they didn't know what was going on. And the message from the protesters was, you may keep us away from the gates, but you don't know what we're going to do next. And you can't. How do you prevent that?
Well,
why are they preventing protesting anyway? But there we are.
The next match, they're going to have a 5-mile exclusion zone.
Yeah.
It's costing them thousands.
Snipers on each corner
for peaceful protesting.
Get a drone. Get a drone to set off fireworks or something. Put an air horn on a drone. That'd be brilliant.
We've got to.
All right, guys. Thank you very much. And
Thank you.
We'll have you on again very, very soon. And make sure you get yourself Voice of Wales. Make sure you get onto D Live. It's a very good system. Yeah. And we'll plug it and push it, and everyone needs to work together now, don't they?
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you very much. God bless.
Thank you.
And Ashlea, everyone tune in Thursday 8 p.m. for Ashlea's first solo show. It's going to be a good one. So we'll see you on Thursday, and keep posted. Get onto Telegram, get onto Gab, get onto Parler. Do whatever you can.
Thanks, everyone.
God bless everyone. See you later. Bye-bye.